Well, I do think the end result, the takeaway is I think this just strengthens, just hardens the support for President Trump and, frankly, expands it. I think Dana was mentioned earlier in the show that, you look at the poll numbers earlier in the week. I think it's 54-17 in the Republican primary. But more importantly, he's dead even with Joe Biden in the New York Times poll. So my gut tells me, is that what the New York Times is saying? It's probably better for President Trump in another poll. And this, I think, only, again, hardens his support, expands his support, because the country gets it. And I think
the latest GOP talking point when it comes to Trump has arrived, and it's not so surprising, actually, after laying at the altar of Trump for 7+ years. His 70+ felony charges and 3 indictments are actually a good thing for the general election. Jim Jordan seems to think that a candidate facing the most serious charges an American could face, that is conspiracy to defraud our nation, he thinks this will be the thing that brings Trump to victory in 2024. And look, I sort of get where he's coming from. The far right is banking on the fact that the array and diversity of the charges filed against Trump will backfire. They hope that Americans, seeing how many different things the FBI and Justice Department and soon to be the state of Georgia are throwing at Trump, they think that all of this will result in people having no choice but to assume all of those agencies are corrupt. And when it comes to polling in the GOP primary, Jordan is right. Trump is running away with the nomination with no other candidate even within striking distance of him, and this is after all of these charges have been filed against him, and more are coming. But while this does seem to be working for the primary, it's hardly a good strategy when we think about the general election.
So much of the country is sick of this nonstop attack, this ridiculous attack on President Trump for 7 years now, and they're tired of this elite attitude in D.C. that says, oh, we're better than everyone else. There's a different set of rules. And I think people in flyover country, hillbillies in Ohio or Iowa or Oklahoma, they're so sick of it. We're so sick of it. We're saying we're going to support President Trump. I think that's the takeaway. I think that's the result of all this.
Jordan says that these indictments, quote, harden and expand his support. Harden is definitely right, but expand, I'm not so sure. Here's Jordan's problem, and to be honest, it's one I struggle with. He is assuming that everyone in the country pays as much attention to the news and politics as he does. But the most important thing I've learned in covering elections is never overestimate how much of the population just doesn't care on a day-to-day basis. You watching this video right now, you are probably in the 0.001% of seriously informed, maybe over-informed Americans, but you and I are in such a tiny minority. I remember being young and before I was invested in politics, showing up to vote and voting confidently for 2 candidates and then leaving the rest blank or choosing totally randomly. That is most Americans. And when most Americans hear that one candidate is being charged with conspiracy, defrauding the government, stealing classified documents, and interfering with elections, yeah, they are not going to assume, as Jim Jordan thinks they will, that the real problem is the FBI who's investigating that candidate. Most Americans, although maybe not informed, are not conspiracy theorists. When they see 70+ felony charges filed, they're going to be put off, not enticed, and probably not even ask any further questions. But seeing as, at this point, this pipe dream is the GOP's only chance to win in 2024, I think we're going to see more of this strategy being popularized going forward. For more of my coverage on the breakdown, stay right here. You can watch my latest video where a deranged Republican crumbles during his Iowa speech by clicking on the link in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at KaroJohnson917.